All right, so everyone's still arriving. I'm happy today to have my guest, Mr. Brian Norgard, a dear friend of mine, one of my concierge, whatever, trusted people. Whenever I come up with an idea or something, he's the first person I call. So Brian's the founder of NameSake and several other companies. Brian, welcome.
Thank you, Jeremy. I appreciate you having me on the show. And yes, I can confirm that I am at one of my best friend's weddings at the Beverly Hills Courthouse right now. So really excited to talk to you about Namesake and, shoot the shit and meet some of your fellow customers and sort of, talk about the consumer internet. So you tell me, Jeremy, how are
Well,
things?
things are great. We're working on several projects and stuff. I'm really impressed with Namesake, and that's when obviously why I wanted to have you here. And it was one of the things I remember you telling me about like a long
Hmm.
time ago, and me kind of going, "Oh yeah, it sounds great." And then all of a sudden, I'm hearing like everyone talk about it, and how
Yeah.
I have to get on it. And so I asked a question one time immediately, like the CEO of the company I was asking about called me back, but I was like, I gotta get Norgard on here and talk about this thing. So before we do that,
Yeah.
why don't you tell the audience a little bit about your background?
Sure. No, I appreciate that, Jeremy. So I've been an entrepreneur for a long time now. In internet years, I'm about 100. I started my first company out of the dorm room at Brown University, which in 2006 was acquired by Rupert Murdoch, his company, News Corp, which the company was called Nuru, and Nuru was essentially a news aggregator that had a bunch of fancy tech underneath the hood. And Nuru grew into a product that became Fox Audience Network, so essentially the MySpace advertising network. I left News Corp after that and founded another company called Adly, which is a celebrity endorsement marketplace. Um, it's a bit of a controversial company, but growing very quickly and really kind of at the forefront of monetizing social media. But now I'm at Namesake and done all of these companies with the same partner, Daniel Gold. And Namesake is something I would say we've never been so excited about an opportunity. And the reason why is I think that social media and social networking tools are finally maturing to deliver experience to a customer that's just really unparalleled. And we're seeing the growth of Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter. And the reason why these tools are becoming important is because they're accessible to millions of people. And I think that with Namesake, we have that tool it's in the very early days, but I think we're really at the cutting edge of social technologies. And I'm just absolutely thrilled about the experience that we've had so far with our first 10,000 customers. And frankly, it's just been absolutely nuts. Everyone from, CEOs to entrepreneurs, artists, writers, directors, athletes, celebrities, they're all joining. And, what people are really rallying around is this idea of open conversation. The theory of Namesake is really like, where do you go on the internet to talk about what you love? And the truth is that used to be message boards, sort of morphed into social networking, but Facebook being closed and Twitter being broadcast only, we lost a little bit of that sort of conversational love. And what Namesake is trying to do is bring that back. So that's kind of the high concept pitch. And we're just a really scrappy, small team today, but clearly if this week is any indicator, we will have a very, very large opportunity and large company in the near future. So.
Well, that's awesome. Congratulations on the success of Namesake. And
Thank you.
so one thing when we had recently Seth Godin at a New York Elite Retreat event, I think one that you spoke
Yep.
at as well. And
Hmm.
one of the things he said, which I'll never forget, is he said, if somebody in the park was walking in the park and they saw in one of their just they saw somebody randomly wearing a Namesake shirt, and somebody said, "Hey, I know that company. That company is X." What would you want them to say about it?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think what I would want to say, or what I would hope people would say, is Namesake is like the world's first global conversation community. And what that means is, conversation is a very, very tricky word. It can mean different things to different people. Conversation can happen around professional stuff like, what do you think about this website? Who's the best, email provider? It could happen around advice. Hey, I'm, having a problem with, something with my relationship. How can you help me? So conversation is a very broad word, but I would hope that people would say NameSake is a conversation community. It's where people are connecting around things that they love, topics they care about. And the truth is that, you know, it's not a classic social network in the sense that, oh, I'm going to follow my friend, or, you know, I'm going to send a friend request and then they're going to respond, and now we're going to share photos about, you know, our children, or maybe, you know, quick little CNN clips. What NameSake really is sort of the idea is really much more open than that. And like, I think an amazing use case for NameSake would be, you know, connecting in this huge, gigantic world with people that have shared interests, and not necessarily people that are your friends. And I think that's the interesting part of the new technology here, is just to say, like, why can't you have a conversation with someone in Perth, Australia about rugby? And the answer is, well, the system today just really isn't there. You know, there isn't that social network. And frankly, like, blogs have been interesting, but they're asynchronous, meaning it takes a long time for people to respond in comments. And Facebook is closed. And again, Twitter is sort of like this weird broadcast world where you're shouting at people, and once in a while someone might come back. But generally speaking, Twitter is not conversational. So I would really be stoked if people said, that's a place you go to talk to interesting people. And, you know, it's a huge idea and a simple concept. And those are the type of problems that I like to attack.
You know, I think the thing that, and Andrew, can you see my screen? Okay, I just want to double check, make sure. You're not muted anymore, so I can. Anyway, okay, so basically, I can tell you, like, if I saw someone wearing a NameSake shirt, I would probably say, like, hey, you know, I can tell you what that site did for me, and the first time I ever used it, I was actually having problems finding a email platform that did what we call transactional emails. And those emails are after someone purchases something from you, you have the right to basically email them out the product they purchased, or the username and password for whatever they purchased, or just maybe a username and password for whatever it is. So I posted on there and I said, you know, I'm using this thing called SendGrid, but our volume of sale, I think we were doing like 800 or 900 units a day. And I said, you know, they cap out so fast, and I think they're limited to domains. And, you know, does anyone else have a suggestion on another transactional email provider that has, you know, excellent deliverability to make sure our customers get what they pay for? And I mean, within 15 minutes, I had several people respond, but the key one was the founder of SendGrid, which was the company we already loved and used, and didn't think they had the ability. And he was like, oh yes, we have that ability. Here's my cell phone. And he's like, give me a call. And this isn't like some little podunk email thing. I mean, this guy is, you know, and so I called him, and instantly he was like, oh no, you just go into your account and do this, and, you know, and I'll take care of you on the volume and stuff like that. So
I think that's an awesome case study, Jeremy. And I will tell you that this is happening, you know, hundreds of times a day in different industries and different verticals. I mean, I can give you examples, you know, people talking about, you know, certain type of social networking, and then Mark Suster jumps in just randomly, or someone will have a question directly about, you know, some particular type of machine learning, and lo and behold, like, the world expert in machine learning is in the conversation. And so, you know, I think that why this is important and why this is different is it's not only just, like, you know, sort of, we've been lost in the last 5 years in this idea of sort of question and answer paradigms, where you're like, I have a question and I want an answer. Well, the difference between NameSake is it's a conversation platform. So you prompted, hey, what should I do? And a few people fired back with, you know, answers. But at the same time, the CEO popped in. And, you know, the interesting part is that was just the start of the conversation. He said, hey, Jeremy, I'd like to help you. You guys went back and forth. You shared a few things. Then next thing you know, you have an email and a phone number. And that's really the power of real time. Because in the old sort of static, you know, way of thinking about the web, where someone posts an answer, you come back a day later, you see if there's anything new. On NameSake, I mean, you could literally receive, you know, 15 different, you know, we call them comments in a conversation item within a second. Mm-hmm. And so it's that sort of like real-time addicting kind of juice that brings people back over and over and over. And I think the one thing that we've been really careful about, and this is also because of your tutelage, Jeremy, and I'm going to give you a lot of credit for this. You said, keep it small, keep it tight. Don't let a ton of people in right away, because what you want to do is foster a community that's, you know, designed around sharing, knowledge and being respectful. And so, we have some people having fun on there. There's people talking about the game and people talking about certain cool TV commercials and music videos they like. But there's also a lot of people talking about very serious stuff. Like last night, I think there was like over 300 people talking about different types of domains and what they were worth. And so there's nothing better than sharing an experience with people who have similar expertise, because in the end, the other part of the NameSake platform that's really interesting is the endorsement engine. So the endorsement engine allows you to you can pick 10 things you have expertise in. So for example, mine are social networking and, viral loops and product development.
I'm just going to show people your profile on here.
Okay.
So you can see Brian's talking about entrepreneurship, namesake, startups, product development, leadership, social networking, network effects, blah, blah, angel investing, blah, blah, blah. And he's got, all these numbers over here represent people who have endorsed him as an expert in that area. Is that correct, Norgard?
That's correct. That is correct.
Gotcha. So that was going to kind of lead me to my next question is ensuring the quality or the person who's actually giving you, and I don't want to say advice because it's not really what it's about. And the thing I love most about, there's several things I like about NameSake. Number one thing is that it kind of follows a principle which I've kind of followed for a long time, which is the Gestalt protocol, and I recently wrote about it. But it's basically where you don't basically tell people what to do. Like for instance, with my email question, there were some people on there that said, "Oh, you should try this," but it doesn't really help me. But instead, people told me about experiences they had. So these are people who are not like, they read about, Aweber or some of these. They don't even understand what a transactional email service is. So they're of no use to me. But and I don't mean to sound like a dick, but I'm just saying, then there was a couple people on there that were like, "Oh, we use this platform, and what we really liked about it was this, but what we didn't like about it was this." And so that's important because you can look and see I love that feedback as opposed to people who read about some other thing and it should be cool and I should go check it out, because that really doesn't help me. I want to know, what did you do and how did it help you, and that will help me make a decision to really answer my question. So
exactly.
And
I have one comment to make on that, Jeremy, because it's really central to our strategy. In NameSake, we ask you to use your real name, and one of the cool things about having conversations with people is you can quickly go to their profile and see what they're endorsed for. So if someone's giving you commercial real estate advice and they're, an SEO guy or a domainer, they don't have as much credibility. But if someone is giving you advice on machine learning and you find out that they're one of the, world expert in a specific type of, machine learning algorithm, that's really important. And so, tying conversation to identity is really, really important. And the reason why that's important is because you need to know who's on the other end of that piece of advice. And the internet is a very big place, as you know. It's a very broad landscape. And, it's pretty hard to fake it. If you've been endorsed for, 150 times for blogging, chances are you're probably a blogger. You're probably a well-respected blogger, and that means something. So, hey, Jeremy,
yes.
I need to go to the altar this second.
Okay.
If it's all right, if Andrew can answer a few more questions, I'm literally going into the altar, right now.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks, guys.
Yep. So I'm going to unmute Andrew here. So Andrew is part of the hold on here. Let me unmute Andrew. So like I said, I kind of made this impromptu thing with Norgard, announced it, and then he said, "Hey, I've got a wedding to be at." So he's literally on the steps, Andrew, correct me if I'm wrong, of the Beverly Hills. Is it the courthouse there?
I think it is, but yeah, he is literally in the middle of a very good friend's wedding right now.
So right now he's been called up to the altar. So as you can see here, I made my...
he's dedicated. What can I say?
Yeah, I'm showing everybody my profile now. And I don't know, Andrew, you can see my desktop, right? So,
yeah, I can see it.
So I logged in here one time and placed the question, and it was recently, and I thought it was really sweet. And it was cool because all of a sudden all these people start endorsing me for stuff like affiliate marketing. 11 people, said I know what I'm talking about in affiliate marketing. And one of the cool things I love about this place, in addition, and I'm pumped on this place, if you can't tell, but I subscribe to the big thing about success really breeds success. And I mean, when you've got CEOs of major companies of things you use, it's huge. And in my opinion, this is what LinkedIn. It's kind of like LinkedIn for successful people. I mean, I find LinkedIn is of no use to me, but that's mostly because I'm not looking for a job and usually not trying to hire anybody. And that's what I found LinkedIn to be. When I was on there, people were always hitting me up for stuff, and just the value of what I got out of it versus what I put into it. Just, I mean, I was constantly getting hammered. And anyway, I find no value in LinkedIn. But this is actually more of, people aren't really trying to look for jobs, look to jump to other places, or just trying to network so much as they are just to say, hey, here's what I'm doing. And, what do you guys think? Or here's a hot topic. What do you guys think? And one of the things I want to show you guys is, I mean, there's several different things here. One of the big ones is, or I just came across this conversation. I thought it would be interesting. And so this was just recently posted, and just for fun here, I'm just gonna post it. I'm just gonna start a conversation. And while we're surfing around, we'll see if we get any responses. So I'm just gonna say, hey, my mom is looking for a new web host. She is not very technically inclined. I'm not the best speller in the world. Thank goodness for my Mac spell check. What would you recommend to your mom? Okay, so I'm just gonna post that, and we'll just let that go live, because I kind of believe, but it just trial by fire. So we'll see if we get any responses here on that.
Yeah, it takes a split second to go through.
Yep, no problem. So we're going to look at some other things here. Here was a really recent one, and this person, just said, I'm looking for recommendations for domain registers. I currently have many domains through the race car girl company, and I find this just going to be complex and user hostile. I would rather pay more for a better experience. Any recommendations? So it's tagged with, GoDaddy domains, GoDaddy, blah, blah, blah. And so if you go down through here, you can see, I mean, there's just a ton of people who are really, really smart people. You can see here Dave Delnave, who, worked for me for a long, long time. There's just tons. It's just a great conversation about that specific subject. And you wouldn't think like maybe that's too much, too direct. But there's a ton of other ones. I know there was. We can just go to the home here and look at some other ones taking place. So Andrew, I think a really good next question would be, how are you guys going to? Obviously, you want to grow, but I mean, how do you foresee? Because I mean, this call isn't really to get everyone to use NameSake, because honestly, NameSake is not for everyone. But, for a lot of professionals out there, I mean, how does one get into there? I mean, obviously, I got in and I got right in because I know Brian, I know people. But, like, for the regular person out there, how do they sign up, and what happens?
Sure. So when you sign up, we actually pull in your existing graphs from Twitter or Facebook, and we connect you immediately with the people you already know. And then we also connect you with a small select group of the most engaged and active users already in the community. So there's a short list of people who are always consistently, engaging in conversations, starting interesting ones, and we have you auto follow those people. That said, I think you were hinting at it there, Shumani, when the system has amazing utility right now for a lot of different things, especially for professional conversations. That said, I do want to be clear. Like when we started embedded media in the conversations, and maybe you can show that on as you're browsing around, we've had a lot of people really start to put more of themselves into the platform, where it is starting to go beyond just a professional platform.
Right. And so in order to, like, how do you prevent like some newbie jerk off from just responding and spamming his? I mean, one of the things I noticed when I actually talked about my mail provider, there was there was one person in particular representing, I think he was from Eye Contact or something. He was like, well, you should check us out at Eye Contact, you know. So how do you prevent somebody, and that wasn't too bad, but, you know, because he was high up there, he was, you know, he was like, I'll take care of you, whatever. So that it was not too bad. But my question is really more is like, how do you prevent people from spamming their services, you know, and if you know what I'm saying?
Sure, sure. Well, to a certain extent, you can never fully control anything like this. I mean, this is the open web, and you know, we're not the Gestapo here. We're not monitoring people's every single comment and things like that. The reality is that, you know, Brian and I talk about this a lot, is that you build a DNA within your community. We've worked really, really hard at this. And this is what Brian was hinting at earlier when he said, you know, how you and he discussed keeping it small at first and really building a core group and building a core community and establishing what this place is all about. And what we found is that a lot of times communities, really good communities, tend to police themselves. Once you establish, you know, an ethos and what this place is all about, people do a good job. Excuse me. We've had a few instances of that. Excuse me. I apologize. We've had a few instances of that, and generally speaking, every time other community members have stepped in and said, you know what, you need to actually add value to this conversation. So if you want to, I mean, the best way to sell your services as a service provider is to provide useful information. I mean, look at inbound marketing. Look at you know, the entire content-driven marketing strategy, which is huge for what you do as well. You know, you provide value and you will get something in return. So don't just show up and say, oh, hey, use my thing. You know, if you want to help me, if you want to be my email provider, you know, do what Scott Magoon did, or do what the SendGrid CEO did. Help you solve your problems, help you do a better job of whatever it is you're trying to do. And thus far, and we think this will continue, the community very much embodies that ethos and has made that their own. So far, we're seeing the community really do a good job at this on their own.
And I just actually pulled up, I've already had 4 responses. So while we were on here about my mom's looking for a thing, and I wasn't very specific, so I thought it was really cool because some people were saying like, well, what are you looking for? Are you looking for static pages or something fancier like WordPress? And so I just said, yeah, it's going to be a WordPress site, pretty simple, probably a default template. And it's kind of cool. A lot of people, it's cool because people are talking about, you know, I like DreamHost, quirky, not polished, but accessible and affordable, many one-click installs. You know, and then there goes another one right there. So you guys just actually saw in a live update, which I thought was pretty cool. And you can see it on the top right, and then also right in the stream. You know, so depending on how far she needs to customize it, the WordPress hosted ones aren't too bad. So there you go. I mean, we've already started a conversation around my mom, you know, looking for a web host, which probably isn't, you know, the most exciting thing we could do. But definitely, you know, it's something that someone could ask, something like that. So, you know, it's already had several views on here, and you know, we're looking at, what is it, 2:18 Pacific right now. So it's pretty much middle of the day for everybody. So to have this kind of response, I think is pretty cool right away for a lot of smart people. So, you know, you can also look, you know, at this dude and see, you know, he's got 11 people recommend him for web development, product development, Python. You know, he's got a lot of followers, a lot of endorsers. So pretty sweet, you know, that somebody with this kind of street cred would instantly respond. Just, you know, in the other part of your account, you know, just like there's mentions of you, there's, you know, all kinds of, I think we're actually up to, well, we're up to 8 songs. So, you know, the actual, so what are these invites over here, these invitations to stuff, what's that all about?
Sure. So this was a really big thing for us to date. You know, any good community. Sorry, Jeremy, are you getting like a really weird feedback thing?
I was getting a beep there for a minute, but
yeah, guess what? Hey, guess what, guys? My friend is married. I'm back.
Okay. Hey, James is married.
All right, Norgard, you are one fly by the seat of your pants, dude, and I love it.
Fucking it, dude. I'm telling you, Jeremy, I'm fucking back, man. I'm married in California, literally in Beverly Hills. You can get married in like 8 minutes.
That's beautiful. So everyone, you just witnessed Norgard going up to the altar for his boy who got married. Now he is back on the phone live with us after the marriage. So, what? Only in California, I think I could take place.
Yeah, only in Beverly Hills. You should have seen what's sitting in the waiting room. My Lord. Wow.
Well, do tell. Do tell.
Good looking room, Brian?
Well, let's just say it was just an interesting group of people who look like reality TV stars, but we'll get away from that right now.
All right. So I want to talk about these. So I got 3 invites to NameSake, right? And so is that like, I can be like, hey, Billy Bob, you should check out NameSake. And then is it kind of like an invite-only system right now?
Yeah, it's totally invite-only, and the design by that is it's actually pretty simple, which is there's a lot of really, really serious, important, and what I would call influential people on the platform. And we want to foster an environment that, obviously we're going to open up over time, but early on, I think exclusivity is really, really important because it engenders trust. And we have a waiting list today with thousands of people on it, and I think it's really important that we keep it high quality out of the gate. And as I mentioned before I hopped off, Jeremy, you're the guy who really got me thinking about this. He said, like, dude, you've got to make sure that you get all of your sort of crazy friends in here and you keep it locked down for a while because you want to build a brand. And that's really important. So when you invite 3 people, invite 3 good people. Because guess what? It shows up on the profile of the individuals who signed up who invited them. And we did that because we didn't want people inviting for food.
Right. And so, obviously you want to keep the quality, because the value is in the quality of the attendees. That's kind of with one of our conferences, the Elite Retreat we do. It's it's $5,000. We're now at $7,000 per person. We've been doing $5,000 for many, many years. But yeah, the whole point of that is to limit. It's really exclusivity, and the value is more in the attendees than it is the actual price of the conference. Or the actual speakers, I should say. So, and it's kind of like, it reminds me a lot of what NameSake is, but it's just more, it's kind of like a cross between, in my opinion, like a mastermind session with a lot of really smart people that just goes on 24/7.
Yeah, I think that a few people have sort of explained it as like this digital whiteboard of some of the most accomplished, smarter professionals that they know. And that's one of the things that's really cool is I think we're also building a culture in NameSake where people are not hoarding information. They're actually sharing it. And the reason why I think that's an important thing is we all know when certain people acquire, tips and tricks and ideas and best practices, sometimes they hold it in. Well, it's almost the spirit of NameSake to get out and share it. And so you'll see people talking about, stuff they're buying in the second market, how to buy certain domains, how to, acquire, different types of customers through all sorts of different, marketing tactics. And I think the spirit of sharing is really, really alive and well. And the cool thing is a conference, you got to fly to it, it's 3 days out of your time. NameSake, you fire it up, it could be midnight and people are there. And, that's the beauty of the internet. And, I hope to God that, the quality stays high because the stuff that's being shared on there today is really, I have a good friend of mine, Mr. Edison Stapleton, who literally knew nothing about the internet. And he sat on NameSake for 6 months, and he literally says now that he thinks he could be a world-class marketer. And he has seriously gotten education by just passively, paying attention to these important conversations. And, that makes me really happy. And I hope that continues to happen, over and over, tens of millions of times in the next 5-10 years.
And so just for those who might not have, my conversation here is up to 13 comments already, and it's actually make that 14. So it's pretty cool, and actually people, if I was doing this literally, I pretty much have my answer. After I got a little bit more into it, they said if it's a default WordPress, I'd consider letting WordPress host it, which is like a duh, right? So I didn't even think of that. And then Aaron, who is a friend of mine, and also I should mention, just give him a little shout out, the creator of the Bacon Explosion. So if you've seen that, it's magical. Search for it, order it, because it'll change your life. it's so he says I'd recommend my mom stay off the internet, but there's been several other things here. A couple people just spammed some URLs, which wasn't so helpful, but really, I mean, like the answer is like the whole WordPress.com. So out of the 14 conversations, I mean, all but two were like super valuable and actually was really really good. So that's really cool. I mean, you're seeing it like right here. There's actually up to 15 now. Basically like everyone is now agreeing that WordPress would be, the actual the total solution here for what I'm working for. So as people can see right here, I had a question. Some very well endorsed people have answered it, and I found my answer. So and I love it. So because it's instant.
There's one point that I'd like to make about that, Jeremy. And I think that the interesting part is, you're always asking yourself, what is it? And I think that what NameSake is starting to become is real-time access to intellectual capital. And intellectual capital can happen around any topic. It just so happens that, we have a lot of marketers and technologists and, people that are really interested in business models and stuff like that on the platform today. But I could imagine, even in 6 months, if you wanted to ask a technical question about how to cook a steak, you might get a response from 15 people, 3 of which are chefs. And, the real-time access to intellectual capital is a really awesome, like, crazy idea, because when you think about it, there's so many people that are smart and have all of this stuff in their head. And the problem is that it's such a pain in the ass when you're in Google to find answers or to find relevant links because of spam and SEO and all the years of gaming that has happened around organic search. And, Facebook, obviously, your friends probably aren't going to tell you that much. NameSake is sort of like, I think, one of the first places on the internet where you can actually get real-time access to experts. And guess what? It doesn't cost anything.
Right.
And like, that's the spirit. So, I mean, listen, we're super excited. And the one thing I want to do, too, with you, Jeremy, is I want to have you on as a NameSake conversation. I want to interview you because, like, essentially once a day we bring on sort of a thought leader, a luminary, and literally, like, hundreds, sometimes thousands of people show up to hear what these people have to say. Like, we had Noah Everett on the other day, the founder of TwitPic, and I think 35,000 page views later in less than an hour, we covered every topic from how he came up with the idea to, why he didn't sell early to, what the future of the business is. And, like, that's the other aspect of, like, NameSake that's just really cool, which is, like, I like to bring on really awesome people and talk to them and sort of let the world watch in real time. So, like, it would be awesome if you could commit right now to doing a NameSake conversation, because I promise it would be a lot of fun.
So I would love to. I'm actually just really surprised. I was hoping we would get a good turnout for my silly question, but we're up to 19, probably honing in on 20 comments, and I just wanted to show people watching like how cool this is. So this one cat, Michael, he's the one who actually came up with the WordPress idea, right? Which helps me. So I'm going to go ahead and endorse him right here, and I can just select a skill, and I'm going to go down to web development. There's probably some other things in here, but web development's good. And I can actually describe, and just, because he helped me find a solution to my problem, right? So then I can just actually endorse him, boom, and so then that's going to add to his street cred, and then so now he's endorsed, and then Aaron here, who I know is a guy, so I'm just going to endorse him for barbecue because he knows I know from knowing him, he knows his barbecue. So anyway, yeah, so that's basically NameSake. I think we've gone over a lot of things here, Brian, and I know you're kind of pressed for time. One question we got, and actually anyone, if you have a question, just go to the questions box, type it in, and we'll try to get to it here. First of all, Brian.
I got plenty of time to answer questions.
Okay, Brian, thanks so much for joining us. First of all, because I know NameSake is very popular right now. A lot of people want to know about it. So we had about one says, okay, I'm into natural health and fitness. Jeremy, how would I be invited?
Yeah, so, frankly, there's a couple of ways today, which is you can go to the splash page, just go to namesake.com and put in your information, and Over time, we're going to invite these people. The other way is to ask for an invite on Twitter, or someone that you know on the system, obviously ask them for an invite. But anyone who's like passionate enough to put a question in about an invite, I'm happy to grant them an invite. So just, let me know. But generally, just go to the splash page and put your information in, and we'll get you.
There we go. So that's it. And then like now on my homepage says here there's a conversation I started. Here's who I endorsed Aaron for barbecue, and then there I'm getting endorsed back. So it's kind of cool, I mean, success really breeds success, and I talk about it all the time. It's so important to surround yourself with smart people, and let's just say like. So some of these things with some of us entrepreneurs like will really eat at us. Like for a while, like this thing, if I was looking for a web host for my mom, maybe it's on the back of my mind. I don't really want to sign up for one because I'm thinking, man, this is gonna be a support nightmare. You guys all know what it's like to have a website for a family member, right? So, I want something easy. She's not very technically inclined, and it's just like I go to sign up, then I'm like, oh, this sucks. Maybe this has been weighing on my mind. Well, now I just ask the question, and I mean, the answer is just super obvious. So
yeah, and I think
go ahead.
There's one point to make about that, Jeremy, where I think this is an important concept for your community, which is, the search used to be the de facto channel to getting answers, and frankly, people don't trust search as much as they used to, and people are spending more time on social networks, and what we're really seeing is what I call an entire set of queries, case-based queries, things where it's literally, expertise and case come into play. These are moving to environments like NameSake because you know what? You kind of want to see who's on the other end of that comment or who's on the other end of that answer. And the reason why is, in Google, you just don't know who you're talking. You don't know what website you're on. You don't know where, these links, like, okay, is this like because someone's, SEO'd the crap out of their website? Is that why they're at the top? And so, like, the reason I don't think NameSake is a search tool, but I'm starting to see lots of people use it to figure out, particular questions, to figure out sort of like the thought process and, a question and answer format around particular ideas. And so, the one thing that you mentioned is like your mom. That's like the perfect question for NameSake. Like, how do we get her going? And like, I will tell you, the nichier the question, the better. The other day I asked something about, I want a specific type of hot tub. And literally I had like 14 different people respond back to me. And, I take great pride in knowing that we can somehow, some way, become the conduit to those type of queries.
Right. And the other thing I like too is, when you're around successful people, right? If on Twitter I was to post about, hey, you guys, I send out 180,000 emails a month that are transactional emails, and those cost me X amount, blah, 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 because I'm moving a lot of product. Now, if I was to say that on Twitter or Facebook or my blog, I would get probably 30 to 1 for every person who would give me something valuable. I would get, how do I get started doing that? Like, oh my God, that's so many people you emailed or whatever. And the cool thing about this is nobody's impressed. Like, nobody cares that you have 500,000 because they do too, or they're doing their thing. They're not impressed and they don't care. It's the other thing I love about the conference we have too is that nobody cares about, how much money you make or whatever. They just know that you're successful or you found success and you're endorsed in what you do and you need help. And that's the thing. And whether that, and the really, really cool thing is that help may be on finding a hot tub, or whatever, or it may be on anything, but it's just like, you're just not going to get a bunch of jackasses. And that's the real value to me. And that's also why I don't, and this is also when I actually posted about this on the blog about this webinar, was because like for me, when I used to go to forums all the time, and I used to love to participate and give value and ask questions, and I'm talking about like Digital Point, Wikifire. Well, actually Wikifire was kind of after, but what happens is all these anonymous weasels, once my blog started to take off and stuff like that, every time I'd post, there'd just be all these trolls, right? And they would just kind of divert from whatever I asked immediately onto something else. And so whenever I would try to help somebody, the focus would always shift to me, and I'm sure the same thing with you or other people out there. They know exactly what I'm talking about, and it's just like that's why I like NameSake. And gosh, I don't even want to bring up Twitter. I think Seth Godin puts it perfectly about. He said, I don't allow comments on my blog because I can't stand anonymous criticism. And he's like, on Twitter, he's like, I don't have a Twitter account because if I can't take it on my blog, I definitely can't take it on Twitter. So, which made a lot of sense to me, and that's why I love NameSake because it gives you surrounds you with very successful people. It makes sure that the other people actually are who they say they are. They're endorsed, and it's kind of like it's a close community. And when you think of close communities, you think of Facebook. But on Facebook, you don't really know. You might have mutual friends, but for the most part, you don't know. People know what they're talking about, stuff like that. So another question we had, Norgard. How much does it cost? Is it free to join?
It's absolutely free to join, and NameSake will,
And we might have lost Norgard, but I can tell you that it is free to join. Can I please get an invite? I would love to be on this. Andrew, are you on here?
Yeah, I'm here.
I show Andrew, but I don't
guys,
hear him talking. So, so basically, Norgard said for those who want an invite, what we'll do is I'll give him the email list of everyone who is in attendance on here, and he can, if you sign up, we can probably figure something out. I can't hear either of you guys if you guys are talking.
You can't hear us?
Andrew?
You can't hear us? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Brian, can you hear me?
I can hear. Do you hear me?
So, let me see something really quick. Okay, go ahead and say something.
Hello?
Hello?
All right, I can hear you guys. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, we're both here.
Okay, how much does it cost?
Yeah. It's free as a bird.
Okay, perfect. And is it ever going to cost anything?
Not in the foreseeable future. I could imagine some paid services in the future, but no, this is that's not the design of the business, nor is it the type of business that, we're trying to build. And so, I can never comment, conclusively on the future, but I would say more than likely not.
The next question was kind of for me, just how long do my webinars stay in archives? I've got webinars from 3 years ago that are still, I don't really take them down. They're usually, a lot of times people will listen to things and they're kind of, sometimes the things you can take away are somewhat timeless or whatever. So, all right. Everyone's like, yes, I love invite. I love one. Great. We can hear you now. So that's pretty much it for the questions. Norgard, do you have any kind of closing thoughts on NameSake or?
Yeah, no, I do. I have a few closing thoughts, and I think that just excited to be on the show, Jeremy, and appreciate your support as always. And I think that I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I think we're sort of entering a very, very interesting time, and the reason why is, social networking is now accessible to millions and millions of people. And, with the proliferation of mobile phones, globally, we're going to see a really, really, really different world in the next 3 to 5 years. And, I'm just really thankful to be doing this. I'm thankful to have a great co-founder, a great product team, a great technical team. And, frankly, the only reason I've been successful in the past is I just didn't take no for an answer, and I went and did it. And, I know that you have a lot of entrepreneurs that are really interested in kind of building something, creating value, being successful. And I think the number one rule is just get off your ass and go do it. And, that's how we build NameSake. We have a very, very customer-focused, customer-centric approach to the world. And, what that means is we think about what customers want, and we build products around that. And it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of hard, sort of like long nights, and there's no sort of quick road. But, we are just amazingly thankful for the community that we have at NameSake today. And, all I got to say is I can't wait to see where we go in 6 months. But, we're just taking things, one day at a time and just really fortunate. And like in closing, I just want to say thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, thanks again. I'm sure our listeners really appreciate it. And for those who want to invite, can I give you kind of the email list of those who are in attendees? Because it seemed like everyone wanted in. Maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Be happy to green light those invites right away.
Okay.
When I get back from the wedding. And you know what? Thanks. I appreciate you dealing with the craziness that is my life. So thanks, Jeremy.
No worries. I mean, I've never had a webinar where we started it and dude's like, hey, I'm being called up to the altar. I got to do this wedding thing real quick. And then comes back 15 minutes later and is like live.
You know what's even weirder is I'm parked in front of the hotel for the after part, and Mary J. Blige is standing right in front of my car right now.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
You have to holler out the window, real love, something. Or Family Affair. What else does she have? All right, so I'd just like to point out to everyone that at this point, my thing is exactly 29 minutes long since I asked my question, and we have 23 comments total. That's not counting mine. So it's kind of cool because a little real discussion and some real experiences have evolved where people have talked about, this is my experience with this company. This is what happened to me with this company, and that's really great because it lets you know like what can happen. Like if that can happen, because there's some powerful people on here, and I'm gonna tell you what, like I pull my weight around, no pun intended, quite a bit, but I mean like, you know, and if somebody's gonna screw me over, then you better believe that they're gonna screw whoever over, right? Not to sound like egotistical or whatever, but that's just the way it rolls. So, all right, everybody, thanks so much for joining us. Hope you found some value in this, and Norgard's going to send you an email with the invite. I love NameSake, and Brian's a great guy. So talk to you guys soon.
Thanks a lot, Jeremy.
All right, later.
Bye-bye.